Howdy folks, we've got another very exciting CI6 Round 5 narration for you today, and it is C versus Manaphy. Two very iconic users here. I don't think either need much of an introduction, but just in case, C is not a newcomer to the tour, but he is a newcomer to main event. He was in play-ins last year. And this year he's been making a much better performance. He's made it all the way to round 4 undefeated and only lost last round to Umbri in pretty close fashion featuring an Ursurang, so interesting games if you haven't watched those. And Mana, on the other hand, has been in quite a few main events before, all the way, I believe since CI4, he's been in all of them. And he's making a pretty good run this year, similar to his money-making finish in CI4 as well. He beat ABR, and he was undefeated all the way until round 4 as well, where he lost to Solwind in 3 pretty close games. So yeah, at this point, I don't think there's need for much more of an introduction. Let's get right into the games. We've got a Tire lead from C's side and a Metacham lead from Manaphy. Mana obviously super free to do what he wants because Tire's scared. And he goes for a Rock Slide, which does a ton, even at -1. That looks like it might be a Choice Band Metacham. Metacham's strong, but it is not that strong. C is going to force it out still because he's faster, and he goes for a Dragon Dance, hoping to get something out of the Salamence before it goes down. Against Milo, though, it's going to get a Rock Slide, a Flinch, sure, but he would need 2 more before that really amounts to anything. Or a crit, whichever comes first. He does go for the Flinch again, doesn't see much value in preserving the Salamence, and Mana opts to Surf instead of Recover, sure. Does he have anything to force out the Milotic? He does have a Snorlax, that'll certainly put some pressure on. However, Manaphy... Oh! Well, it's going to put exactly 0 pressure on, actually. It's going to fall asleep to the Hypnosis Milo. And Milo turned around a bad matchup there for sure. And it'll get a free recover here as well. So the chip that Salamence did manage to achieve is now gone. And on turn 6, Mana has quite the lead already. He's up a poke and the Snorlax is asleep. C does land an Earthquake, but it just blanks into Celebi. It doesn't look like CB damage to me, so this meta could still boom here. We don't see boom, but we do see Hidden Power Bug. Interesting tech from C there. It absolutely wipes Celebi off the face of the planet. Definitely what you want to have against defensive Leech Seed Celebi. We do see Magneton coming in, and then Claydol following up, because Mag obviously doesn't want to eat the Earthquake. But he does manage to get a little more Leech Seed damage, which is good. So Manaphy running Milotic, Celebi, Magdoll with Metacham, and perhaps another breaker in the back, or perhaps just something else to complement the defensive core, remains to be seen. And C running a pretty standard Fizz off, but the last there can be a lot. Could be a Charizard or quite a bit. Not to distract from the game too much, Tyranitar clicks what must be HP Grass into the Milo, which does absolutely nothing, and the crit Surf is going to wipe it off the face of the planet. Meta comes in here threatening Boom, but he doesn't actually go for it, just goes for Mash instead. Mana does have more options against the meta than just Milo here. Both Magneton and Claydol can get some chip on it. But he doesn't go to either of them. He opts to just stay in and Surf, risking Boom for sure, but if he thinks he can handle whatever C's got in the back, it could be fine. Surfs again, and C misses a Mash, which is unfortunate, but unless it got a raise, it wouldn't have resulted in too much. And Meta's going to be able to take one more Surf here before going down. Does he boom now? And yeah, booms, takes what he's going to get with the Milo. And it is 3-4 with Manaphy up a poke. And remember that the Snorlax is still asleep, so unless C's last here is pretty strong, it's looking tough. Something like a Charizard could be good if he can get the Gyarados out of the way. and some chip on Claydol couldn't hurt either. He goes to Snorlax, his mana goes to his own Claydol, and he gets an instant boom. If you're C, that's gotta be what you were hoping for when you're behind in this end game. And we see C goes to Claydol on the double down, and Manaphy goes to Metacham. HP Bug barely doesn't OHKO, but Earthquake, well, the doll is both slower and not OHKOing with Earthquake, so Metacham going to collect its kill here. And remains to be seen if C's last can 1v3. It's not a Charizard, it is a Golduck. Golduck is Sand Immune, Salic Berry, some people have used it, I think Dexa has, and C himself evidently has taken a liking to it. In this endgame, he is going to be faster than the Metacham, but unless it's HP Electric, it's totally blanked by the Gyarados. So, what are you going to fish for a freeze? He does not have HP Electric, and Ice Beam does not freeze. So that is game one, folks. Pretty quick, honestly. Only 23 turns, but it is two more offensively leaning teams against each other, so it does make sense. Cool teams from both sides. The Golduck from C is definitely not what I was expecting. You're way more likely to see like Charizard or a Fighter or even another Gyarados or a Mag or a whole bunch of stuff can fit in that last slot. Golduck's certainly one of them. It's kind of like Offcoon, who can also go there sometimes, but being able to get that Endure off against stuff like Starmie and Arrow can really help. And Mana's team is a Magdoll with quite a lot of breaking power with the CB Metacham and the Gyarados. Doesn't appear to be asked as patented CB Gyarados, just a regular DDer. Still a very good team. I do like seeing Gyarados in this kind of stuff. I think it helps you find setup opportunities where you otherwise couldn't very easily. Enough yammering about teams though, time for game two. Everything on the line as we see C with a Vaporeon lead against Tyranitar. Probably just going to start sub passing here. He goes for Surf instead, which doesn't do very much to the Celebi, obviously. Still, 12% is like very little. I wonder if that's it's probably a defensive Celebi. Yeah, especially because it just clicks Leech Seed as the Skarm comes in. So C probably just going to spike up here, or maybe he'll switch to Scout a Mag. Very possible on Manaphy's team. He opts to go to Blissey to scout the Mag and gets met with a Baton Pass to Mana's own Skarmory. And Mana also tries to scout something from C. He goes back to Celebi as C goes back to his own Skarm. So now, probably just going to see a switch from Manaphy and a Spike from C. And there's the Magneton in the back, not playing too hastily from Mana's side and getting it in when he's sure C's going to stay in. Good play there, and he does manage to take out the Skarm as well, albeit with a crit that could or couldn't have mattered, depending on what item the Magneton is. And we do see sub from the Magneton. That's definitely good with Leech Seed Celebi. You can stall out some random steel types like potentially this Metagross later. C's meta does have Earthquake. We don't know what item it is yet. Haven't seen it do any actual damage other than breaking Metagross's sub. And it has Thunder Punch, which is a Asta set, I believe, of the regular mixed meta runs Fire Punch, or Hidden Power Fire, but this one runs Thunder Punch and occasionally Hidden Power Grass to try and beat certain flyers and Swampert. Pretty good set, and it's going to be nice to have here, especially if there's a spinner in the back, which there is. So yeah, the meta beats the Skarmory down as it spikes up, and then Claydol spins. Pretty standard stuff there for C. In terms of the game state, C is down a poke, but he does have the layer of spikes up that his Skarm got, and not sure if Mana has anything to deal with that. He could certainly still have a Claydol in the back, or it could be some more offensive mons. You see Meta coming back in on the Skarm for C, and he just Thunder Punches. And Flygon coming in, dodges a Meteor Mash as well. Well played from C, but sometimes that's what happens. And that is probably a defensive Flygon. This team is used sometimes with a Swampert in that slot, and then the last is something fast like an Arrow or a Starmie. But Mana's opted for a Flygon to help with spikes. Sure, not a bad idea at all. Flygon is going to be blanked by C's Claydol, which comes in, gets the spin off, and is faster than Manaphy's Pursuit Tire as well, and it's going to 2-hit KO with Earthquake. So that's good for C. And neither of them like the matchup after that. C gets a double out, gets his mixed meta in on Skyrim once again. Thunder punches, and now he's in a bit of a conundrum. Do you try and predict the Flygon and mash, or do you just Thunder Punch again? C doesn't think the prediction is worth it. He's just going to Thunder Punch. Sure. And he's probably going to just keep doing it for now. He might mash on this turn. Remains to be seen. Skyrim, of course, protecting for lefties all the time here. Interesting set from C. It usually doesn't have Meteor Mash on this set, which means it's missing one of HP Grass or Boom. And if I know C, he's probably not dropping Boom, so I imagine it's no Grass, which means this Swampert is going to wall it, and that must be the same observation Manaphy came to, because he stays in with the Pert. Earthquake's Vaporeon on the way in, and it's actually revealed to be Defensive Wish Vaporeon. That is a very rare set, even compared to the offensive variant, which is rare in its own right. In fact, this is the first one we've seen all tour. And it's not looking too shabby here, actually. The Wish support and Aerodactyl coming in. This, with the one layer of spikes, this could be a bit of a threat. He is going to have to do some predicting to get around. He's going to have to do zero predicting. He is sub-Leechy. No, he's not. He's leftovers. What? Okay. Is this that Fire Blast? Yeah. This is that Vapicuno set with Flamethrower, and then the last are what? Toxic and Whirlwind? This is, I don't think it's a great set, I'll be honest, but it's what C has. It is going to tickle the Skyrim with Flamethrower before getting roared out. Skyrim is going to get low, and whenever it does die, C will only need to spin one more time to keep the layer off forever. But yeah, Arrow not being a more traditional set is good and bad. It's good against the rock resist, but this Celebi and the Suit Tire are both going to stand in its way quite a bit. And of course, it isn't going to be OHKOing anything after, say, Pert gets some Spikes chip, or Flygon comes in at the wrong time. Focusing on what is happening, though, not what could happen. Celebi misses a Leech Seed on the Blissey. C just gonna Ice Beam, try and get some chip on it, as he finally does hit his Leech Seed. Heals quite a bit. He'll certainly be able to range the next one, unless it crits or freezes. And he gets a good recover as C just goes to Arrow, who, like we said, can not do too much to this Celebi, honestly. It can sub, sure, but Hidden Power Grass will break it unless he's Super Spadef, which he is not. And if he tries to Toxic, Mana can potentially get a Leech Seed off, which is also not good. It is revealed that the Arrow's full set is Protect, and the last is surely Toxic. I can't imagine it's Whirlwind, so my bad there. And C does go for the Toxic on Hidden Power, so not Leech Seed, but he does miss. Tough. The Aerodactyl is also pressure stalling the Celebi somewhat, which, honestly, given the way this game is shaping up, could come into play. Celebi might have to start counting its Leech Seeds if it wants to keep trying to break through the Metagross and the Aerodactyl here. Oh, that is tough. C misses another Toxic, and he gets massively punished with an Ice Beam there. The tire is low, but that still would have been very nice to have. I think the reason he didn't switch right away was because he was fearing pursuit. Which, fair enough, I suppose, but didn't work out for him at all. C is now down 4 to 6. Does still have the spikes advantage, which Manaphy cannot remove. However, I'm really wondering if that's enough. Manaphy has a pretty good matchup into C's what's looking to be his main breaker in this Metagross. Yeah, it's really hard not to like Mana's position here, not to call the game too early. That helps a lot. Curse Swampert is going to make absolute mincemeat of this Vaporeon unless it has Toxic or something. Well, there's something. There's Haze. That'll mean Earthquake is only going to do 25. It can get Wish protected on all day until it gets a crit. This is a tough matchup. The Wish Protect Haze Vaporeon is kind of just what C needs here to stave off the Swampert. Manaphy does get a quick curse in on the Protect, but C can just Haze and then Wish again like he did last time. He is risking crits during all this, but Swampert also only has so many Earthquakes, and if he Earthquakes into Protect, that's bad for his PP. A lot of factors. Can C find a way to break this Pert? Can Manaphy find a way to break this Vap without just hoping for a crit? Does he even need to do anything other than hope for a crit? Getting spikes up will certainly help. However, Doll is very healthy, and his best way of removing it in the Suit Tower is slower, so that's not too great. Skyrim coming in on a Protect, but it doesn't even go for a Spike. It just switches out to Celebi, probably predicting C to go Claydol. But he just wishes instead. He wants to get his Vaporeon healthy in case it has to switch into that Flygon or the boosted Swampert later. Fair enough from him. Manaphy takes the opportunity to recover. I am going to speed it up a little, folks, because it looks like this might be a longer game. It's a good thing my cough is gone. Imagine that over a game this long. Got another Ice Beam from C. Skarmory's getting real low. It'll have to Protect here unless it wants to die to Ice Beam. However, it does not Protect. Stops to Drill Peck as C recovers. But it does get him out of Ice Beam range. So fair play from Mana. And if he wants, he can try and get another layer here. And he does, but Ice Beam crits. And Skyrim's going to go down a little bit too early for Mana. Shouldn't make much of a difference in the long run, but we'll see. And Claydol gonna get in here. It should only need one spike, and I was about to say it's unlikely the Swampert has a water move with Curse, but it certainly does. Remains to be seen what the last move is. If it's Rest, that's pretty helpful. If it's HP Rock, if it's HP Rock or Ice Beam, which are both more standard on Curse Pert, then that's not very good, but something like Rest or Protect for recovery would be much nicer in this matchup. The Magaton doesn't have lefties, but it does have Subtoxic, so it's going to be able to get some chip on the Blissey here before it goes down, which could be nice for putting it in range of a Flygon Earthquake or anything. Oh, C reveals Aroma Blissey, which I suppose makes sense if you're bringing Vaporeon over Milo. Vaporeon can't refresh its own status away, so fair enough. This is still a tough game, folks. Manaphy's tools for both players' tools for breaking through are honestly pretty limited. C does have presumably 2 pokes with Boom, although whether he can get either of them into a position to boom safely is another question. Great Earthquake from Mana, and that looks like CB damage to me. That is 50% to the Vaporeon. It is absolutely forced out there. Even if it got a low roll, it would die to sand. And Claydol sees only Earthquake immunity, and the only thing stopping this from honestly ravaging his team Meta's at full. It might live 1, depending on its set. If it's, like, close to 0 bulk, then it wouldn't, but remains to be seen. And, well, Meta is no longer at close to full. It takes an Earthquake from Swampert coming in, a boosted Earthquake at that. But he does manage to trade with a Pert on his way out. He booms, and Manaphy does not switch. So, just like that, it is 3-4 favoring Mana. And if this tire takes any more damage, it's about to be 3-3. So, yeah, and the tire is slower as revealed by the lefties. So down it goes, 3-3 tied game. So he does still have the spikes advantage. However, that's not actually a great thing here. The Flygon's obviously immune. The Celebi has 1,000,001 ways to recover. It used a couple Leech Seeds against the arrow, sure, but it still has about 9. Maybe we'll say 8, just for the sake of convenience. And the Magneton is able to act as a spike sack here if Mana needs to get a bit more control, keep Blissey low, keep Vaporeon low or something. And worst case scenario, it's a totally free switch to the CB Flygon, who's definitely the best way for Mana to make progress here. If he manages to kill the Claydol, then Earthquake is basically going to sweep his team. Sees Vaporeon can't touch it, and Blissey would need to be at nearly full. This is a big opportunity. Blissey's real low, it's at 31. Claydol's going to have to come in. Does the HP bug? He clicks return. Huh. That's an interesting filler. The filler's usually Gust, but this is a good mid-ground move for this scenario. He does go for return, but he does not get the crit, and it's doing not quite enough to kill the Vaporeon. So C is going to manage to heal the Vaporeon up. Blissey is still very low, folks. And Vaporeon's going to have to wish again on Hidden Power Grass. I wonder if C can win this. Well, that'll help. He gets Blissey in with the wish. However, this does mean Vaporeon's really low. Although Vaporeon may not matter too much. It may mostly be up to Blissey to win this, because, I mean, Celebi, Hidden Power Grass, Leech Seed, you only have Surf to damage it. That's not great. And the Flygon, same thing. You only have Surf, no Ice Beam, so tough time making progress there. So this may come down pretty much to Leech Seed and Ice Beam PP for both. C's going to have to save at least some Ice Beams for both killing the Celebi in the end game and actually being able to damage the Flygon. And Manaphy doesn't want to just spam Recover, because 32 PP of Recover is a lot, but it'll go down quick if you're just spamming it in an end game like this. And C does get Vaporeon in on a non-HP Grass turn, but it's instantly forced back out. However, that did reset Blissey's Leech Seed, so Celebi's going to have to go for another one. It's at, say, somewhere between 5 and 7 here, depending on how many it used against Arrow earlier. Either way, this is cutting it close for both players. A freeze could shake things up. If this Celebi doesn't thaw soon, then C could just spam Ice Beam and try and get a crit, or try and heal up his Vaporeon, whatever he wants. However, at any point, the Celebi can also just go to Flygon, heal it with Natural Cure, do whatever he wants. Vaporeon is going to come in to try and heal, and that's exactly what happened. Celebi Natural Cures, it's at 100, so no danger of the spikes. And Flygon comes in, he clicks Return. I wonder why he did that. Earthquake would have threatened this a lot more. And then he just doubles back to Celebi, fearing... Maybe he just didn't want to waste an Earthquake PP if his plan was to double back to Celebi either way. May as well just return, save yourself the PP in case it matters here. I can see that being the reasoning. And then we're back to what we had several turns before the Celebi got frozen. no closer to a resolution other than Celebi doesn't have quite as much Leech Seed PP, edging ever closer to 0. Manaphy, though, does get a good prediction. He manages to snag the Vaporeon on the way in, and hits it again for a KO. I think that's going to be it. C only has 4 Ice Beams left, and realistically, Celebi can stall all of them. Even if it gets Critter Frozen at this point, it may not be enough. C is going to need a freeze. Well, right now, he only has 3 Ice Beams left, which we know is true because there's no Pressure Mons on Manaphy's side. But he's going to need to be pretty much at full and have an Ice Beam for the Flygon, so not looking good. And his second to last Ice Beam is now the next one he's going to be using. I thought that was his second to last, but it wasn't. It was his third to last. There's his second to last, and it does not freeze, so I'd say it's over. I think C has just lost round 5 CA6. Yeah. He agrees, packs it in. Don't think that was an early forfeit at all. That was certainly an endgame. Wow, the Wish Vaporeon made that a lot closer than I thought it would be. Even though it couldn't actually touch the Flygon or the Celebi at all, it still managed to help with Burning Leech Seed and Hidden Power Grass PP. I think this game could have probably gone either way, especially if Manaphy had sacked something else to Toxic or played around certain things just a little bit differently. But all we care about is the winner, and the winner is Manaphy, who certainly deserved it with that end game. Made some nice plays predicting the Vaporeon to come in, getting it dead earlier than it otherwise would have. I'll say interesting team for C, with as much respect as I can. These sets we don't see very often for sure. And Manaphy, I do like CB Gaunt. Flygon's been making an awful splash this tour in terms of usage, and I gotta say I am here for it. That is one of my favorite pokes. Well supported here with the Mag, Spikes, and the Pursuit Tower, so well done to Manaphy. And well done for Manaphy for winning as well. We will see him in round 6 losers bracket matchups. We will see Super Epic Ampharos hopefully next year, and I will see you later.